Hello, Power Up Gamers. It's Chuck again, and I'm going to do a little more talking about character creation. Specifically, I'm going to focus on backgrounds. Now, I went ahead and I picked Charlatan just because I kind of like it and I kind of been wanting to work on one. But what I did was I random rolled all the stuff about the background and kind of show you how I build or how you could kind of meld that character to make it more full and more than two-dimensional character. So, the first thing I rolled, we'll go ahead and talk about, with that you get Deception and Sleight of Hand, and you get a Disguise kit and a Forgery kit. And then some Fine Clothes, and weighted dice, and cards. And my roll was a 6 for Scam. And that's, some of the backgrounds have little extra things you roll for just to see what you do. So my Scam is 6, which is, I convince people that worthless junk is worth their hard-earned money. So I'm a charlatan. I kind of was going to go with the idea of a bard. But here's the thing. The two obvious picks here are bard or rogue. But here's the other thing too, and might take a little work, but some of the other classes, you can kind of mix it around and make that background work too. Take a paladin, for example. What if he was a charlatan and he had a moment and realized that he needed to be a paladin, and so he has those abilities and mindset of a charlatan, and he's still trying to learn to be something more. So he would still even have some of the same mentalities and things he did, and he would fight wanting to do them and change his nature. And you can role play that struggle. But okay, my personality, I rolled a 6. Sarcasm and insults are my weapon of choice. So I'm sarcastic. I'm going to make fun of you. And then for an ideal, I rolled 3, which is charity. I distribute the money I acquire to the people who really need it. And a lot of times your ideals have an alignment to them. Different ones, or at least a section of your alignment, and that makes me good. So I have a character now that I'm going to be good. We can kind of pick how that would go. Lawful, not so much, but like chaotic neutral, chaotic good, or good. Chaotic good and chaotic neutral would work, or chaotic good and neutral good would work. And so then, for my bond, I rolled a 6. I swindled and ruined a person who didn't deserve it. I seek to atone for my mindset and misdeeds, but might never be able to forgive myself. So now we have a character that's a swindler. And he sells junk like it's worth something, And that could be, I go and make it look like I have this statue that I found from the great elven ruins of the Old Kingdom or, the ancient city, and I make it look like it's real and I sell it for more. Or it could be, I take a sword and etch runes on it and make it look like it's magical and even, convince people to like me and then convince me when I show them that it's magical, that it's just something I'm doing. And then my flaw, I'm too greedy for my own good. I can't resist taking a risk if there's money involved. So that kind of makes it where, if somebody sets me up and I kind of know it's a setup, it's hard for me to turn that down. It's a chance to get money. It gives you that option to work on it being different. And the thing about flaws is they kind of help give you a depth. I talked about in the last video, how to create a character that feels more than one dimensional, or it's given them flavor like us. The reality is none of us are perfect. We all have our things that we don't do good or we're bad at, or certain things we just, are very, I'll be honest. Sometimes socially, I've had a hard time. A lot of my friends, a lot of times, will introduce me and be like, look, it's just Chuck. Give him a little bit, it'll grow on you. There's some things about us that aren't perfect, and that gives that character a stronger feel. They feel more real. But the thing about the personality traits too, and it kind of depends on the people you're playing with, but I know a lot of people I deal with, they don't really care if you kind of build your own traits and personalities. So you can learn to take and kind of look at them and pick them if you want. Or, and I play it depending on what I feel like that time. Sometimes I do roll just to kind of force me to try something I may have not tried. That's the other thing that tends to happen if you build all the time off of what you want. You are controlling things a little more the way you want them. And sometimes that randomness forces you to think differently and play somebody a little differently. It's one of the things I've noticed about some people when they tell me they play one thing or one type of personality. I really try to encourage them to play the opposite. Learn to see and think from another perspective. That that can really help you in role playing and life. Learning to see other people's perspective can make a big difference. And I'm going to go through and go criminal, and I'm going to do the roles here. I didn't really think about pre-doing them, so I'm going to do them right here in front of you. But criminal gets deception and stealth, and one type of gaming set and thieves' tools. So that's another one that is going to kind of fit towards a rogue, of course. But it could be a bard, it could be a fighter. There's certain types of clerics it would work with. Even a ranger, depending on their alignment, could somehow work that out too. Even if, like, say they're chaotic good, maybe they spent the early part of their life being a criminal. And so they still have that mindset, and they're learning how to be a ranger now and maybe change that way. Or a more Robin Hood character. Matter of fact, that would really kind of hit. Robin Hood would be considered a criminal, but he's also a hero. So you can really kind of mix and match your backgrounds and your characters. The more you think about it, the more you kind of open up your mind to the possibility that there are other things you can do, and how can I make this work? How can I make this character fit and give me an interesting example? So for criminal, in that they give you a role for your specialty. So my role for specialty is 7. So I'm a pickpocket. So I specialize in pickpocketing people. And then for a personality trait, I rolled a 5. I am incredibly slow to trust. Those who seem the fairest often have the most to hide. So I could kind of have this mentality. I've never met too many people to trust. Or even from that example, the people who seem the fairest often have the most to hide. I could have felt betrayed by somebody, Let's say, okay, so I'm a pickpocket, so maybe when I was young and I was kid on the street, this guy come along and took care of me and helped teach me the trade, and it seemed really great to me. And then I found out later on that he was just using me, or, I was a pawn in his big plan, and he was just being nice because that's what got me to trust him. And see, then that can give that character a reason on why they don't trust people. And you can really get into role playing of a character trying to gain his trust and how that goes back and forth. And that can be really great RP and really great character building. And, your character becomes more. The reality is we go through life, we change and we don't change. It's a paradox that a lot of us don't want to see. In some ways we're the same person, but in some ways we've learned more. We're more toned down, or we're more wild. We're in a range, but there is growth, and that could be that's a really great part of a character, especially when you're talking about a campaign and how that character grows and who they become. How they become a better person, or I don't even know if I say better, just how they move through the world and change makes them more believable and makes you have more connection with the other players and the DM. Okay, so for my ideal, I got a 5. People. I'm loyal to my friends, not to any ideals, and everybody else can take a trip down the river Styx for all I care. Now that has a neutral alignment slant to that. So we could go with, maybe I was betrayed by the guy that taught me how to be a pickpocket, but I did maybe learn to be friends with some of the other kids on the street at the time. And so once you do finally get my trust, and I really do believe you, and even when I kind of do believe you, I could still maybe have my questions sometimes. I really, you're important to me. Family's everything. And so you have a character now that's neutral, and you can go lawful neutral that, or chaotic neutral, or just neutral. And so what I see this character is I was a pickpocket, and I had a mentor that I found out later on down the road that he was just manipulating me. But I really did have a couple good friends that I met on the street. Maybe they were urchins too, and you could kind of go into that more. And so I have this family bond that once I feel like you're family, I'll do anything for you. I don't really care about the ideals, the high-minded stuff out there, the good and the evil. It's just, I'm a family guy. That's the kind of what I'm looking for, is to be out there and have those people that are my family. And that even kind of create an interesting dynamic that I want that family, I want those people, but I also don't trust easy. And then my bond is a 3. Something important was taken from me, and I aim to steal it back. Now, that one, and this is where, if you got time, especially when you're talking about a campaign and not a one-shot, because, I do a lot of one-shots, so it's not always so easy to do this stuff that way. But you can build that it could have been the mentor. That say maybe I got something that was important to me, how to put this. Maybe I had a locket that had a picture of my mom in it. And once my mentor was done with me, he stole the locket too, just to rub it in. And so I have a vendetta out for him. And that gives the DM something to work with, to build for your character and put you in the game more and give you more agency in the world and the story that's happening. Or you could go somewhere else opposite with that is, after all that happened, you fell in love with somebody and they stole the locket after you had a big fight. There's a lot of options in how you want to go with it. I think a lot of people look at this stuff and go, oh, well, I'll just follow. But as the more you get comfortable in the system and the more you get more creative with it and realize how much you can do with it, there's actually a lot of flexibility to it. It lets you do a lot of things. And with that criminal background, you can fit into a thief. That glove hit fits that. But you could even have done that to, of course, the bard. But like, say, take a fighter. Or if you have this fighter that was grown up a criminal, he learned how to pickpocket and make money. And a lot of people are going to say, well, why would I want to take pickpocketing? I don't want to do that as a fighter. But that builds part of that character. You can even argue that maybe you're more of a dex fighter than a strength fighter. And so that's why you're really not bad at being a pickpocket and deception. And you can even argue, too, that like with the deception and the stealth, that's part of your mindset for how you fight, is you're sneaky and you use your dexterity, your quickness to fight better. And so you could have been a pickpocket and got in with this mentor that taught you how to pickpocket, and maybe he had a couple other kids that were helping, or you just made friends with some of the other street kids. And so you had maybe a couple buddies that were kind of your pack, your family, that connection. That once people are family, that's your family, and that's what matters. And and then your mentor backstabbed you, And I'm going to go ahead and go along with the he stole your mom's locket just to rub it in, because that really that's mean. And so then you decided you were going to learn how to be a fighter and maybe join the militia for a while, and that's where you learn some of your fighting skills. And so you have that criminal background, and you can be sneaky and do pickpocketing. You got some stealth. You can even sneak up and jump somebody before you let loose with your fighter abilities, flurry of blows and try to kill everything. And you have deception, so you can lie to people and kind of try to get your way that way. And you can even there's an option for get thieves tools, so you could be good at getting into locks. And one type of gaming set, so maybe you learn how to play dice or cards. And as you learn to build this stuff and figure it out, you can also learn to mix and match to different backgrounds or to make up kind of your own idea of what that would be. And like I said, don't be afraid of the flaws specifically. I know some people I see are that way, but flaws are great. They give a real depth to your character. And especially when you're talking about a campaign, you got a good DM, and you can sit and talk about the character, or especially if there's a session 0, you can really kind of build that character and get a feel for how they're going to interact with everybody else, how they see different people. I see this character, of course, if there was a paladin, he probably would be a little, okay, this one seems a little too good to be true. But if he's distrustful, he's not going to trust any of them really at first. And they're really going to have to earn his trust. They're really going to have to prove that they mean it and that he's part of the pack. And then once they do, though, he would go to the 9 hells for him. Be damned if it's good or evil that wins. It's his pack needs help, his family. That creates that character, And let's go ahead and call him Adrin. Adrin the thief that's turned fighter. He's a criminal turned fighter. And the other thing you could do too is he didn't necessarily have to come out of the thief that way. He could have learned to be a pickpocket and stuff by his mentor, and then moved up with maybe a thieves guild, and they also taught him to, be a fighter more than the rogue. And so, he knows how to pickpocket and stuff, and then when things happen, he gets into a fight. He can fight. It's being that creative and creating those characters. That's what makes D&D fun. That's what helps give that storytelling and that depth. So get out there and have a good time.